All right, so today is going to be a relatively easy lesson. Just so you guys know, in case you're not aware of it, the quarter ends on Friday. Some of you have requested retests. The retests are going to be given to you on Thursday. We just made them today, but we still got to make our rubrics up for them. So, yeah. All right. So we have been talking about and taking a test on a subject called photosynthesis. We all remember this? Good. So I'm going to go down the list and ask you guys some questions. Don't bother raising your hands. I'm just going to go down the list and just kind of refresh your knowledge, and we're going to go on from there. So first off, Akriti, how are you doing today? Awesome. So Akriti, in what part of the plant specifically does photosynthesis take place in? Correct. So photosynthesis takes place in the chloroplast. Chloroplasty, chloroplast. Awesome. So Arsh, what do we say? What is actually happening in the chloroplast? What is the name of the thing that is happening in the chloroplast? Nope, incorrect. Carson? No problem. What's actually taking place in the chloroplast? Well, I'm just going to go on. Eventually, we'll get back around to you. Chopper. Same question. Same question. Hasn't been answered yet. Oh, you're in class not paying attention. That's okay. So, what is actually happening in photosynthesis in the chloroplast? What's going on there? What do we call that? All right. So even though I said I wasn't, all right, let's Daniel, I'm going to give you a bit of a hint. When I change matter from one thing to another, this is known as a what? All right, Hema. Close. Not a chain reaction. Holden. A chemical reaction. So we are going to take one type of matter and we're going to change it into another type of matter. Remember, matter cannot be created, destroyed, only rearranged. That is a chemical reaction whenever that happens. All right. So, and I know I'm kind of throwing this at you in left field here, but that's what my job is. I'm trying to test you in a few different directions. So, Jacob, tell me, what is an input for photosynthesis? What's something that goes into the chloroplast? Yeah? Okay. I'll still accept it even though you told me the wrong thing. Carbon dioxide, CO2. And where does that go in at? It actually goes into the leaf and then goes into the chloroplast. Joshua, I know you still have not finished your test, but tell me another input into photosynthesis. Joshua? Oh, you put it in the chat. Water. Okay. Yes, I saw that. I clicked over. And Joshua, where does the water come into the plant at? Do you know, Joshua? Okay, I'll give Arsh a chance to redeem himself. Arsh, where does the water come to the plant at? Through the root system. Very good. All right. Nolan. Hello, sir. What is another input into photosynthesis? We got water already and we got carbon dioxide. Right, sunlight. Right. Enters the top of the leaf into the chloroplast and a thing called the chlorophyll. But I'm not so much worried about knowing chlorophyll. Energy from sunlight. Okay. So we get sunlight coming in, we get carbon dioxide coming in, we get water coming in, goes in the chloroplast where there's a chemical reaction that occurs. So, Praneeth, how you doing? Good. So, Praneeth, what is one of the outputs of photosynthesis from the chloroplast? Right. So I got oxygen comes out, and I'm using green, and that leaves the plant. And Ramchan, what is something else that comes out of the chloroplast? Besides oxygen, what also comes out of the chloroplast from photosynthesis? Glucose. Does that leave the plant? No. 50-50 shot on that one. No, the glucose stays in the plant. The only way it comes out of the plant is if it is consumed by another organism. Okay. Now, Shrieker, what is the opposite reaction, what is the counterpart to photosynthesis? Bingo. Write that down here. Cellular respiration. So the interesting thing, that's not a problem. The interesting thing about cellular respiration and photosynthesis and all this good stuff is the cells, whether it's plant cells or animal cells, it does not matter, cannot utilize sunlight. The cell itself cannot use sunlight, the energy from sunlight, cannot work. There's nothing in the cells that operates off that. So what happens is the one role of the chloroplast, a small part of the animal of the plant cell, is to convert that sunlight into a molecule that can be used by the cells. So it's going to take this sunlight and it's going to use that sunlight to build the glucose molecule. And from that point, it's going to send it somewhere for cellular respiration. And this is how we're going to divvy up the energy for the rest of the cell. So Surpath, what is the name of the organelle? If chloroplast is the name of the organelle for photosynthesis, what is the name of the organelle for cellular respiration? All right, not a problem. Come back up. We're going to start again. Guys, I'm not calling on hands. Sorry to say. Akriti, what is the name of the organelle for cellular respiration? That's it exactly. This funny peanut bean shaped organelle, the little squiggly lines through it, called the mitochondria. Dang it, I almost forgot how to spell that. Chondria. Mitochondria. Mitochondria. This is been referred to a couple different ways, calling it the mighty mitochondria or mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. So this is where we are going to convert energy for the rest of the cells of the body to get their energy from. So, Arsh, what is an input? What is one of the things that the mitochondria needs for cellular respiration to take place? Arsh, say that again. Okay, that would be incorrect. So let's come down to Carson. What is an input that the mitochondria needs for cellular respiration? Yes. So it must have oxygen to start its chemical reaction. That's one of the things that it has to have. Chopper, what would be another input for cellular respiration? Okay. Daniel, what would be another input that we need for cellular respiration? Nope. Nope. Hema. Yes, glucose. We need the energy. So for cellular respiration to take place, we need two things. We need the glucose molecule, because this is where our energy is stored at. This is what chloroplast took from the sun and stored all that energy, and that the mitochondria needs to release it. So we're going to send from the chloroplast in the cell, we're going to send that to the mitochondria when it needs to use the energy. And the other thing, for the reaction to take place, we need the catalyst, and the catalyst is the oxygen. So we're going to take glucose and oxygen, we're going to send it to the mitochondria, and I'm going to have three things that come out of the mitochondria from cellular respiration. Holden, what would one of those things be? Yeah. So carbon dioxide comes out as a waste product of cellular respiration. And Jacob, what would another output of cellular respiration be? Okay. You want to try to guess? Nope, that was an input. Okay. Let's go to Jagdish. What might another output be from cellular respiration? Well, the carbon dioxide, we already got that coming out. So are you saying sunlight? No. Unfortunately, we don't have any sunlight coming out of our body anywhere. We don't have sunlight in our bodies. What's that? No, the glucose is being broken apart. So let me move on here. Let me try Joshua. Joshua, Gina. If you're not sure, give it a guess. Guys, I'm not calling on anybody raising their hands. I'm sorry. I'm trying to give everybody a shot at this. So, Joshua, no answer? It'd be so much easier if you could just talk. All right, we're going to move on. Nolan, what would another output of cellular respiration be? Yes, water. Now, one of the easiest ways to look at this, ladies and gentlemen, is so we have cellular respiration going on throughout our whole entire bodies. I breathe out. Do I breathe out carbon dioxide? We breathe out carbon dioxide when we exhale. The other thing we breathe out is if you ever get a glass, if you have not seen this before, and you just go on it, there's condensation on glass when you breathe out on it because we're actually breathing water out of our mouths. You know, it's water vapor, but we are exhaling water from cellular respiration. So, Praneeth, what is the last thing to come out of cellular respiration? Okay. Ramchan, what is the last thing? We got carbon dioxide, we got water. What is the last thing to come out of cellular respiration as an output? Okay. So in cellular respiration, we have water that comes out. We got carbon dioxide that comes out. What is the last output from cellular respiration? There's one more thing that comes out of the chemical reaction of cellular respiration. What is that? Okay. Shrieker? Not heat. Close. Surpath? It's energy. But it's a special kind of energy called ATP, chemical energy. So what happens is the sunlight is converted, the energy from the sun, the light energy is converted into a stored energy in a chemical bond of glucose. When that glucose comes to the mitochondria, it breaks that molecule apart, and that chemical energy is transferred in something called ATP, which is like adenosine triphosphorus. And this, yeah, that was it right there. That is what our cells use. That gets sent out throughout our cells for the cells to use for their operations. That is what allows us to move, to breathe, to have blood going through our bodies, to feel, to think. All that energy comes from something called ATP, which originated in the sun, but we cannot use light energy in our bodies. Plants cannot use light energy for their operations. They can only convert that light energy into glucose, which then is converted into ATP. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, now let's see. I am the first person when it comes to the last names. I'm the last one. Oh, that really is okay. Yeah, I kind of get that. Sorry, Surpath. Okay. So what I want you to notice, I'm going to move this over here, is notice that the sunlight comes in from a separate source, comes in from the sun. We have carbon dioxide comes into the chloroplast, and we have water comes in the chloroplast. It all goes in here, chemical reaction occurs, glucose is made. So glucose and oxygen are made. The glucose comes around to the mitochondria. The oxygen comes around to the mitochondria. Chemical reaction occurs, energy is released. The energy does not go anywhere except for in the body. And Shrieker, eventually, that energy, that ATP energy, is lost as heat. Okay, because when we run, when we do activities, our body heats up, and that's because that energy that's being used in the cells dissipates in heat. That's not ever reused. Okay, that goes into something else. That energy is not part of a cycle. That is the end part of it. But if we notice here, also from the mitochondria, we have carbon dioxide that comes out, and that carbon dioxide comes back up, goes into the atmosphere, is going to be reused by the plant. Also, this water, when we breathe out, that water now becomes part of the water cycle. It is in the atmosphere. It is going to eventually come back down, go into the ground, and be absorbed by the plants to be reused. So water and carbon dioxide, oxygen are all part of this cycle that keep going around and around and around. There's only one thing, in a way, kind of two things that are not reused over and over again, and that's the glucose, because the glucose only goes from the plant to the mitochondria in a cell. And energy. Energy comes from the sun and is eventually released as heat. Does that kind of make sense? Yes, no, maybe so? Right. So we have to have photosynthesis take place because something has to convert that energy in the sun to a usable energy for the humans to use, for all the animals to use. Now, there is a small exception to this, and this has to do with some life forms that are on the bottom of the ocean, like down in the Marianas Trench and stuff, that live by thermal vents. They never get any sunlight down there, yet they're still alive. And what they're doing is they're doing kind of a chemical photosynthesis, not photosynthesis, a chemical synthesis where they're taking the thermal energy from the volcanic vents and they're translating that into a usable energy for them to use. But that's a very rare occasion. There's only a very few organisms on our planet that do that. Yeah. No. Yeah. It has no chloroplast in it. It has no cellular. It has no chlorophyll. So the sun wouldn't do anything except for probably damage it. One, it's designed to be deep underwater without all that kind of pressure. Chances are the whole structure would kind of disintegrate when you brought it up. It's kind of like if you guys ever watched like Finding, it was Finding Nemo, or if you know what a deep sea angler is, or a bellfish or something like that. These are the fish that live way down deep, 1,000, 2,000 feet in the water. If somebody catches one of those and brings them up to the surface, they usually, their bodies are disintegrating, falling apart by the time they get to the surface because they're not designed to have this little pressure on them. They're designed to have a lot of pressure squeezing in on their bodies. So when they come up, they don't exactly explode, but their bodies will start to destruct because they're not designed that way. I'm not sure if the plants would do that exactly, but I have a feeling they would. Okay, so do they need us for a? They don't need us at all. They're getting everything they need from the thermal vents, the minerals and stuff that are coming out of the thermal vents. I do think there's a small amount of material that is brought into their systems from decaying fish and matter from the surface, which slowly sinks down into that area. Okay, so today's assignment is pretty easy. You are going to create a model of photosynthesis and cellular respiration showing inputs and outputs. If there is a cycle in the model, be sure to include this in the model. Make sure everything is labeled with arrows traveling in the proper direction. Also include in a Google Doc that explains in detail the movement of energy and matter through the system of photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So basically, what you are going to do is you are going to make a drawing just like I did up on the board. I know you guys all drew that down as I was writing it. You were all busy making that model for yourselves. Did anybody hear what? Like the groan? Was that the class groaning because, oh, my deep voice? Are you ready to rumble? I have a very high voice. Yes, and today you are the lucky winner. Okay, so anyhow, If you did not copy that down, which I don't think a lot of you probably did, I will have the video posted in about 5 to 10 minutes, and you can go back and look at the stuff that you need to include on this drawing. Sound good?